welcome and thank you for joining us today. We're very excited to have you here for this very exciting session, webinar, whatever you want to call it. In the next 1 hour, we will learn how to build modern UIs without all the grind. And I know that sounds super exciting. We have two very special guests here who will walk us through the tool that has been built by Progress AI UI generator. How exciting is that? No matter what framework you use, and we'll keep sending us your questions through the chat and we'll answer them whenever we can. So enjoy the session and just keep in mind the code of conduct. I'm sharing the link here for everyone who is not familiar with ng-conf's code of conduct to go through. Please keep in mind we're very serious about it and just be nice to each other. That's basically what the code of conduct is. So take it away, Alyssa and Stefan.
Thank you so much, Ankita. Hi, everyone. I'm Alyssa Nicoll, and my partner in crime with me is Stefan. He's going to lead today. I will be fielding comments and questions. So good to see you all in the chat. Please just send them as you have them, and we'll roll them into the conversation. But I'm a DevRel at Progress on the Strategic Awareness team. And then, Stefan, will you introduce yourself?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Alyssa. So, hi, everybody. My name is Stefan, and I'm working as a senior product manager for our AI tools. So, basically, we want to make sure that everybody can build UIs very easily with the help of AI and the products that we are building ourselves, which are the Telerik and the Kendo UI components. And today, I want to show you how you can use both of them in combination to create UIs even faster than what was possible with just using AI or with just using component libraries. So combining the power of both can really drive the benefits up. And this is what we're going to be showing today. And I'll pretty much start right away and I'll share my screen. And just a second. And I'll just start by introducing what this tool is, and then we'll go over some videos, some demos, and depending on the time, on the questions, we can start generating stuff during the session.
You're going to be brave and generate something live.
We'll try.
Excellent. I love it. I'm here for it.
Yes. With AI, like we try our best to make sure that its success rate is better than usual, but it still leaves this small chance of producing something very funny. And of course, when you're doing it live, the chance actually increases. So that's a proven factor. So yeah. With that in mind, I want to introduce you to what this thing is. So what are, for those of you that are not familiar, first, what is Kendo UI, Kendo UI for Angular? It's basically a set of professionally built enterprise-ready UI components. They have like everything you may need when you build your applications. It has pretty much things like small buttons all the way up to data grids, charts, pivot grids, spreadsheets, etc. So it has pretty much everything that you can need, and that already speeds up your development a lot because with just a couple of lines of code, you can already have fully functional components that can take you couple of weeks or months to develop internally. But with the power of our AI tools, you can do that even faster because these tools are aware of our components. They know the documentation, they know all of the APIs, all of the properties, all of the classes. So they can do all of that creation for you just based on what you want to do. And how this is done is actually we're using this technology, Model Context Protocol, or MCP servers in short. So this is pretty much a way for LLMs to communicate with external tooling. So this is how we are providing all of that context into our components. And we actually have two versions of this, depending on what you want to do at the moment. You can either go with the coding assistants, which are pretty much just like your sidekick in terms of asking questions for the documentation, for the APIs. So if you're a person that doesn't like to go into the documentation and reads a lot of just text and documents and examples and just want to jump right into what you need for the moment, this is a great tool for you because you can just ask it questions and it will bring up all of the examples that you need, all of the references. It can even create component configurations for you. So you pretty much don't have to go into the documentation if you don't want to. On the second side, we have the agentic UI generator, which is actually just an upgraded version of the coding assistant that it can not only help with the documentation and creating components, but it can go and create full pages. So it can create the entire layout for you. It can make them responsive. It can create custom themes and configure multiple components and make them work together. So instead of just focusing on the components, it can focus on the entire page and in the upcoming months on the entire application. So it should be able to create a full application based on the technology that you're working on. In this case, we will be showing more examples and we'll be maybe trying out some things in Angular, but all of these things are available for multiple other frameworks. So if you're using also, let's say, just Blazor or React or something else, it's you can use them as well. And one of the main reasons we see that customers are using them is to reduce hallucinations, because as many of you know, AIs, they usually like hallucinate a property or two or three or five, and that confuses the developer in a way that there's some errors. Is this property just not set up correctly? Is it even exist? In some languages, it can tell you that it doesn't exist, but it may not tell you. So you just hope that this is working, but it actually doesn't. So this is what you can do when just having all of that context. And as I said, all of them are available as MCP servers, so they're very easy to add to your existing workflow. We don't ask you to install yet another ID, so just you can use our stuff. We don't ask you to add CLI tools or whatever. It's just an MCP server you can add to any of your AI tooling that you like. That can be GitHub Copilot, that can be Cursor, that can be Quote Code, anything that you want. For example, anti-gravity, the new ID from Google, it also you can use it directly there as well. So our goal is to allow developers to use the tooling that they want and just help them with the task at hand without asking them to actually switch tooling and just try to adjust your workflow based on our tooling. And as I mentioned, this is available for similar to Kendo UI and Telerik. We have this component that I mentioned at the beginning for this many frameworks. We cover pretty much all of the major ones over the last 20 years. So we pretty much know our UIs for that period of time. And we are providing all of these toolings for all of those frameworks as well. And I have been talking for this a little bit, and I just want to jump on a short video to tell you a little bit what is doing here, and also we can jump on the code as well in the meantime. So let me just start the video. So I'll actually be explaining on what's going on the page. So the idea here is that we have an existing application. As many of you probably already have some applications that you need to upgrade, add new pages, add new features. Not every time you're starting from scratch. And in these cases, when you already have an application, you have some pages, but you have to add another page. In this case, we want to add a page so we can schedule some appointments into our healthcare management system. And we are telling our generator to do it. How we are doing that is by just simply calling the MCP2 into the GitHub Copilot interface and adding the prompt that we want. So in this case, the prompt is pretty basic in terms of we want to create the appointment dashboard with schedule page. We give it some information about the grid layout of the page, what components do we want, what functionalities do we want, and just let the generator combine with Copilot do its job, which is basically it gets information of how to set up all of those components. It gets information on how to set up all of the styling, all of the layout, and it starts returning code directly into the ID. And that can usually take a while. That's why for some of the things we have prepared videos. For some of them, we would be trying them live because all of those tools, they take time, especially for a full page. Sometimes it can take up to like 5 to 10 minutes for Copilot and all of the tools to fully complete a page because it may sounds like a lot just waiting there 10 minutes to have a page. But if you think about it, if you have to do it yourself, it may take you a couple of hours, couple of days, depending on how complex the page is. So waiting 5 to 10 minutes for the process to complete while you're actually doing something else, it's very powerful in that way. And we can see right here that it has created the content for just this new page. It has added our scheduler component at the bottom, information about upcoming appointments, and you can also filter by doctors. And all of this is actually interactable. You can see, you can scroll, you can actually filter. So when we select a different doctor, for this case, Dr. Sarah Johnson, we see that appointment schedule and doctor occupancy rates, etc., are actually updating. So it not just added the UIs, but connected the events and the interactivities between them because it knows their APIs, it knows how they talk to each other, so it's able to do that as well, not just create a blank UI. And as you can see, this page, it's actually, if you think about it, it's very complex one because you have drop downs, you have to do filtering, you have to display all of the scheduling information, you have some charts at the bottom. So this thing can just very easily take you more than a day or two, even more to complete. And as you can see, the styling of the page, it's completely matching the styles of the application. So it uses the styles that are already available in the application. It doesn't create just blank new page with just default styling. It knows that this is the primary color for the page, and it also can make it responsive. So in this case, you can see that going on smaller screens, the information shifts and goes underneath. So it knows how to make the page responsive as well without you have to do anything else. You can just specify in the prompt if you want how you want to split up the grid in terms of columns and rows. Even if you don't tell it, it will still try to make it responsive. It will just figure it out by itself, which is the best configuration based on the data that you want to explain. But you can tell it if you want to be more specific. In general, with AI tools, being more specific, it it helps them produce a better results. So this is true in this case as well.
Do you
And
recommend for when you're starting a project with the generator, giving it one long massive prompt, or do you recommend like multiple, like breaking it down into steps and asking it to like iterate on itself?
so we actually tried both approaches, and it depends like how clear of a picture you have of the page that you want to create. If you have a very
Okay.
clear picture of what you want to create, it's actually better to do it in a single big prompt
Okay.
because it will know like all of the things that have to incorporate into the page and how they talk to each other. But giving just smaller prompts can also work because, but it's usually recommended to be in this like to make sure that the context is not lost. And when you're adding like the fifth prompt, it is already forgotten about the first one because the AI has a limit on the context window, and we want to make sure we are not exceeding that.
I got you. Okay. Cool.
And actually, with that in mind, as I have shown the video before actually jumping to other things, Alyssa, is there any questions that are popping up or something that you want to ask?
Yeah, so Scott Phillips by the way, hi everyone in chat. If you're just joining, I see our numbers going up. Feel free to throw questions into Q&A or you can put them into chat. Scott Phillips put into the Q&A, in your example prompt here for the dashboard, how did Copilot interact with the MCP server?
Okay, so let me just try to go back a little bit. So this is the prompt. Not sure if I'll be able to zoom on it, but essentially what happened, it says that we add the MCP server here, and it starts creating requests. This is how it calls our, so it first calls something that we call the orchestrator. Pretty much we give this point to our MCP tool. So our MCP tool internally creates its own plan of which of our tools it needs to call. So it gets the correct information. So our first step is actually creating a plan. And from that plan, we know, okay, we're going to need like 5 components. So let's go and get the information for those 5 components and the features that we need. We are also going to need a custom theme, for example. Let's go and get the information for a theme. We are going to need some layouting because, as I said, you may use it for a full page, you may use it for a single component, for a single section, etc., depending on the needs. But in this case, because it's a full page, it's going to need information about the layout so it can do the whole thing and to make it responsive and fits perfectly on the page. So it goes and gets the information about the layout. And then if you have here, you can see on the screen, it's called the Kendo UI Layout Assistant. So that's why we call it an agentic generator, because it actually has currently it has 4 tools that it can call and orchestrate and based on the request from the developer. And also we have a tool for icons. So if you want to generate icons and we don't have some of the icons built in, the tool can go and generate a custom icon based on your request. And this is something that we'll see later on in one of the other examples.
Awesome.
I
Thank you so
hope.
much. That is all on the questions for now. But again, the numbers keep going up for participants. So send us your questions and comments, and we'll make this an interactive webinar. But you can keep going, Stefan.
Yeah. So I'll actually go to an application that I have built just before the webinar. It's running live. It's a dashboard application, and I have used our tool to iterate on it and create just expand on the application. So this is me in Visual Studio, this is just my session chatting with the tool. And here actually we can see examples of what I mentioned about. This is the call, let's say, to the layout assistant. So we can actually expand it and see what we have asked the layout tool at what it has returned to us, pretty much all of the information on how to create responsive layouts and all of the classes that are available in our system. And in this case, I wanted to create a homepage for an existing application because in the other case, we created more of a dashboard. So I wanted to focus more in this example on we have the dashboard. Let's actually build a homepage for that dashboard. So I went there, and this is the dashboard. Existing application, you see that it has its own custom styling. It's a dark theme. And I asked it to add a homepage for this, and this is what it has created. So as you can see, it's a page that follows the same styles as the main dashboard in terms of primary colors, backgrounds, font sizes, etc. Also, it gets added cards. And as you can see, all of those custom icons, these were generated with our icon tool on the fly based on the requirements and what is existing in the dashboard. So even though we may not have all of the icons available, we can always make sure that we are generating new ones just for your use case. And again, as you can see, all of the icons, they're following the main primary colors that are in the application. It has also added some animations where we're hovering over the cards, some borders around it, again, matching the colors and everything. So this, it may not look like a very complex page, but I was still able to do it in 5 minutes, which it's, again, way faster that even if you use pre-built components or you're experienced developer, it usually should take you a little bit longer than that. So, and again, it has an idea to add all of those interaction states as well. So not just the colors and stuff. And of course, let's check if it's responsive. And we can see that it is. It's make sure that all of the content and the cards and everything fits nicely depending on the screen size that the page is used. So that also helps with just making sure that the page is responsive from the get-go. It really helps you in those cases. And also, of course, it had a button to go back to the dashboard, which again has all of that information that is visible on the homepage. And this is, again, something that I have created for like no more than 5 to 10 minutes before the webinar. I'm usually trying to have something created before a presentation because with AI, sometimes it can take you 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and I don't want to be just relying on all of the demos to be building during that hour because the time can fly very fast. But of course, we can try to do something live as well. And before we do that, I want to again check with Alyssa. Do we have any questions? Do you want to add something as well?
Yeah, no more questions right now from the chat. Send them in if you have them, either to Q&A or just straight into the chat. Either is fine. I was just curious if you have played around with customizing the application, like yourself, going in and changing the code, and then having chat GPT, like, or I guess Copilot, go in afterwards with our MCP server and do additional things. Like, is it good about reading new context, I guess?
Yes, yes. From what I have tested, again, if you it really depends on the prompt. That's valid for all AI tools. It really depends on the prompt because sometimes if the question is too generic, even our tool cannot know what you really wanted. For example, I'm just going to give an example. If you tell it that you want a dashboard page with two data grids and two charts. It will create you two grids and two charts, but they may have properties that you didn't need, or they may be missing properties that you want because the AI just doesn't know what type of chart you want, what type of data grid you want. Do you want
Yeah.
5 columns, 3 columns? Do you want filtering? Do you want vectorization, etc.? So the first result may not be the best if the prompt is too generic. But of course, to your question, if we have to go back and iterate on it, it will be able to change the existing data grid or the existing chart in order to cover those cases.
Something that I was pleasantly surprised by, because like in early days of UI generation, I would play around with like even Gemini, for instance, trying to generate an Angular page, and having to fight with it because I remember again early days it would constantly go and like try to pull in React code into the Angular app, and I was like, what are you doing? So when using the UI generator from your team, I was surprised by how it did read not only the Angular version of the application I was having it generate pages in, but it used like some of the latest features, like whether it was like control flow or just even standalone. I remember early days of like AI and having to constantly be like, we're not using modules and having to remind it. Whereas I just was excited to see, like, look, we're up to date, we're actually using. So have you been happy with how that's going as far as, because I know, especially with the Angular framework, it's changing a lot, but with all like across the board with all the flavors that you support, has that been difficult for the team to like make sure it stays up to date and like checks versions and checks the templates and things for like,
Yes, yes.
yeah.
So this is interesting case because we want to make sure that this is stable and works well with the latest updates. So we have implemented different evals, which are very common for AI tools. It pretty much it it's similar to how you write like unit tests or end-to-end tests, but just tests for AI because AI it's not deterministic like the standard programming, so you cannot test it in the same way. But these evals just make sure that when something new comes out, it's either on our end or in Angular, on React, Blazor, etc. The tool still functions correctly and doesn't go into spiral with just making mistakes and using older unsupported properties, etc.
Very cool. Well, I'm ready to see some live coding if you're brave enough. Are you
Yeah,
brave
so
enough?
let's actually try something. Uh, I hope it will be able to do it correctly, but of course, as we mentioned, uh, let's actually try to generate a new theme for it. We will call the style assistant, in this case, directory.
Can you give some guidance on what assistant people should be calling when?
So usually you can call the main one every time and it will call
Okay.
the corresponding one. But in this case, because I know that I want just this two, I can call that specifically. So you have the option to just ask your question and let the tool figure out which are all of the assistants and tools that it has to call. But in this case, if you know that you need just component information, just styling information, just icons information, you can call that tool specifically. It will just speed things up a little bit.
Cool. Very cool. Scott reiterate.
So, so basically, I'm just asking it to create a white team and to have the ability to switch between them. See how that go. I hope it goes well, but we'll of course see probably, because this should be a fairly not so complex prompt in terms of it doesn't have to generate a full page, even though full team is pretty large as well. But we'll see how it goes. And in the meantime, again, if anybody has questions, we can do that while we're waiting.
So Scott was just reiterating in the live coding example, if you could show the interaction with the MCP server. He's trying to figure out what output the MCP server is providing to the LLM.
Yes. So this here, those sections where it says it run the assistant X, in this case, the styling assistant. This is an interaction with an MCP server, and you can expand it and see what we have sent to the MCP server and what the MCP server has returned to us. So in this case, it's all of the variables, all of the styles. In this case, it has generated a full theme with all of the Kendo specific variables that you need for a team, and it has provided that to an LLM. It has pretty much generated the theme and just given it to Copilot and say, hey, Copilot, just use that theme that I have generated for you. And that's the case when we are talking about styling. When we're talking about, let me just check another interaction that I had with it. So this is, let's say, the component assistant. In this case, we have asked it about a button and something, and so it has provided examples with the button. It says that, hey, you have these properties about the size of the button, the type of the button. It has provided some Angular specific examples. So it has pretty much given code examples and text documentation to GitHub Copilot, so it's easy for Copilot to generate the correct thing. Otherwise, it has to rewind on its own data set, which could be outdated, especially depending on which model you use. If you're using some of the latest models, in this case, I'm using Quad Sonnet 4.5, but if you're using something older, like the new features may not even be in that data set. So the only way the LLM can know about them, if it's either going to the documentation with some other MCP tools, or by getting this curated context directly from us.
That's really cool. I love the visibility there. It does make the chat a little bit longer, but I think it's better to have it than to have a black box of
Yeah, and you
mystery.
also know what information has been sent to our server. We usually try to get the intent, not the code, so we are not sending any code to our server. So all of your code stays within GitHub Copilot or within Cursor, whatever. It doesn't go to our server. What our server needs, it's pretty much the intent. The user needs this and this and that, and that's it. After that, Copilot merges that information with the actual context of the selected code and produces the final result.
One more
And
question, Stefan, if you're ready for it.
yeah,
It appears that the MCP server is an LLM agent providing output to the user's LLM. What models are you running in the MCP server?
I have to check to be more accurate, but I think it's some of the GPT models, like the smaller ones, because we're just providing context and are generating information based on our existing knowledge. So we don't need the most powerful models. I think it's 4.1 nano or mini, one of those, I think.
Thank you.
And now let's see if it has actually generated something or no. Let's refresh it. Mhm. Okay, so it's actually
You might have to see because it's the eye icon.
yes,
Okay. I
yes,
was like, does it tell you where it added the toggle? Because sometimes that's a challenge that it'll like, I did it, but where did you do it?
yes. That's very true. Sometimes it's add something, and you just have to discover where it added, which is again, the more detailed the prompt, if I would have told it, hey, add the
Exactly right.
icon to change the theme in some specific
Yeah.
place, I didn't have to search for it. But yeah, in this case, as you can see, it has created a white version of the theme. It has kept the primary color, which is, I think, because this primary color actually works well with dark and white theme. So it didn't need to change it because it could be your branding color. So, for example, if it's if you're a company that your brand color is that specific, let's say hex number, you don't want to change it because you're in a dark mode or white mode. So this is something that, and of course, this is uh, something that it probably what I figured out that it has just added it just to the homepage, not to the dashboard page. And this is something that I may go now and tell it to do uh, to make sure that it's actually applied that theme to the dashboard as well. And because it already has the information about the team, we don't want it to generate a new team. In this case, I believe we don't even need to call our MCP server because the MCP server has already done its job. It has generated the team. The team is available into the application. We don't need to generate a new team just to make it visible on another page. The styles are already there. So this is also another thing that you don't need to include our MCP server on every request. You can if you want to. There's I think no harm in that, but they're just follow-up questions or things that you just don't need to call it every time.
Will Copilot go ahead and like pull it into the conversation if you don't, like if it needs it?
Yes, it will. Usually it will. And I think just when you mark it specifically, is just to make sure that it will be called 100%, where if you rely on Copilot, it may call it, it may not. Usually it can call it in like 80-90% of the time. So you can almost reliably call it with that approach. But I think it's for me, it's just I want to make sure there's some of the things that are just so easy that I don't need to rely on the AI to do it for me. In this case, called the tool for me. And yeah, and in that case, I also have control of what is called, which tool is called, because sometimes, similar to other AIs, you can just call a tool that you don't need in the moment. It just brings you extra context that you it's not gonna harm, but it may not going to produce the correct result.
Very cool.
So let's see if it
Okay.
did it. Yeah, sad. Oh no, it's added the icon here. Sadly, it's not working. So yeah, again, the first thing worked well in terms of adding a team. Now it just doesn't change it. But this is the risk with live demos and AI. But again, this is mostly just extra things. We have the new team, so the heavy lifting of creating a full white team that can take you very very long time. It's done, and now the developer just has to go and wire this thing, because our goal with those AI tools, it's never to like praise developers or something like this. It's just to make sure we're helping developers do their job, and we know that there's always a place and time where they have to intervene and just make sure everything works correctly. And this is one of those examples that yes, the heavy lifting of creating a new team and adding it to the application is done. So the developers just have to go and do the final touches and connect it to the page.
Love it. We have another question if you're ready for it.
Yeah.
How does the MCP server or the user's LLM know how to follow my company's standards? So, for example, let's assume that we have rules for a particular component and it should only be used in particular circumstances. And it's more restrictive than what the generic Kendo UI components support.
So this is something that I think all of the major IDs have these instruction files for the LLMs for the main assistant. So in this case, instruction file for GitHub Copilot. So I think that the best place to add those things into the instruction file for GitHub Copilot, so GitHub Copilot knows that, hey, when, let's say, when you're using data grid, it can only use sorting, filtering, and paging, and that's it. It cannot use grouping. So that's an information that it can go to our server, and it will return you just the information for those features. So I think that's the best way. It may be another way that's a little bit better, but I think this is the way we can recommend at this point.
Very cool.
And with that in mind, I think I'm done with all of the videos and the demos that I wanted to show today. Uh, Anything you want to add, Alyssa?
No, I thank you so much for coming on and sharing. I'm putting in the chat the telerik.com/MPC MP MCP servers,
MCP.
excuse
Yeah.
me. I'm like, it's not happening. It's just not happening this morning. The link so that they can not only check out the UI generator, but also the other MCP servers and assistants that we have. But is there anything else? Did you want to share any other links or things that you want them to have access to?
I think this is the perfect one because from there it's like the hub page, so they can go to whichever tool they find most uh, good for their use case, and everybody can start from there.
Thank you so much, Stefan, for hopping on. If there's any more questions or comments, chat, now is the time. I think otherwise we can wrap up. And I'm very
Yeah,
excited.
or
Thank you so much for demoing.
if people have questions for later, for when they're watching the recording and things like that, would either of you be open to share
So
any
we
information? Yeah,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we actually have a Discord channel just for this. So,
awesome.
which also, Stefan, if you want to like share out a way to reach you, but I'm going to grab a link real quick for this. So this is our Progress Discord, and we're growing the community there. And just outside of our products, we're also having just random developer conversations, agent conversations. But we do have a channel in there called the Early Access Program or the Front End one, where we can chat about if you're using our MCP servers or if you're using other tooling that you want to talk about. We're having conversations there, and we're going to start actually doing live sessions as well there too. So I think that's a really good resource. Stefan, did you have any other ways you want people to contact you?
I think that's a perfect way in the Discord channel, and then after that, depending on the conversation, we can exchange emails and have like if anybody's interested in this, we can of course go and make a more detailed demo session with your specific use case as well. So feel free to reach out.
I
Thank you,
am
Ankita.
curious. Of course, yeah, I'm curious because it says that you can sign up for a free trial, but how long would the trial be for? Would any of you know? Or is
It's
that
30
something?
days. 30
Okay,
days.
perfect. Yeah, I think that's a good amount of days to try your hands on it and sign up for it eventually. This is also very exciting and so helpful. So yeah, thank you for sharing. Thank you to both of you for taking time this morning and for sharing these things with us.
Thank you guys,
Thank
and
you as
thanks for your
well.
questions.
Yeah, thank you for joining in. Definitely join the Discord channel for more follow-up questions and comments and things like that. I'm sure the team will love to hear any feedback that you might have for them.
Yes, come
So,
hang out, come chat.
yes, absolutely. All right, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.